Come on now.
Hey guys.
It's just a pint.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Here at the Swamp, get ready to beat LSU. Y'all tune in to Rule Number 1 podcast on Monday.
Yeah! Another episode, man. I'm not going to say it this week because we have a really nice guest. How about that? Not cool, nice. I'm tired of repeating the same phrase over and over again. This week we have with us Elizabeth Cornelius. She is a talent acquisition agent, right? Yeah.
Talent acquisition manager.
Manager, there we go. For a pharmaceutical company, correct. She's really cool, man. She's got a lot of cool posts. She goes all over the place. She's very social, and you also do a life coach thing too, right?
Yep, 360 coaching.
Absolutely. I can't wait to get into this, man. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I feel like we have so many different topics to go through, whether it's travel or coaching or inspiring people, and even a little bit into the pharmaceutical world. So without further ado, Liz, we ask everybody on each episode, what is your number one rule you live by?
I would say integrity, because integrity has so many different components to it. So it's like honesty, loyalty, and really just, making decisions behind closed doors and just having that like moral compass of yourself.
Definitely. I feel like with integrity, it's I feel like a lot of times it's kind of hard to come by nowadays with some people because, back in the day you could, if you gave somebody your word, that was, you could pretty much die by it. And nowadays, you never know what to believe, whether you see on the internet or right. If you just have a random conversation with somebody at the bar, you never know what to believe.
Well, back in the day, a handshake used to be a legal binding deal.
Yeah.
You if you shook somebody's hand, it had to happen.
You meant business.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, integrity, that. Like my partner said, it's hard to come by nowadays. If somebody has it, they're welcome on our show any time of the week.
Exactly. So we wanted to get a little bit more into the number one rule that our guests live by and dig a little deeper and kind of explain a little bit behind it. So, where does this integrity come from? Was there a moment in your life where you were kind of like, I need to live by this, or has it kind of been like your moral code, throughout your whole life?
Yeah, so growing up, my mom, lying was a big no-no.
Same.
And so, she, kept going with it. I did have one point at my life that I kind of lost that. And, after that and just reflecting on the whole situation, it just made me, who are you? What are your morals? What are your values? So it just kind of brought me back to that. So
can I ask you at what age you hit rock bottom? I'm curious.
Not necessarily rock bottom.
But
no, I definitely did. Yeah. So 18, 19.
Yep. Same. Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think about, my journey to where I'm at today with the podcast and the brands that I manage and everything. I'm like, man, my turning point was, we talked about it prior with Jeff Sykes. I failed a drug test at my first college school. I wasn't really, smart about, what I did and how I partied and had fun. I was an athlete and I got in trouble. But that was rock bottom for me. I lost everything I worked so hard for. I lost my athletic scholarship. I lost my opportunity to learn. I lost, a connection with people that I met down there, everything. I was packing my stuff, ready to come home. But it's so crazy what being on rock bottom will make somebody do.
Oh, yeah.
And how it'll change their life and the perspective you get from being there.
Yeah, definitely. It's I feel like in our generation, that 16 to 23 mark, everybody has those years where they're like, oh man, I need to really figure it out. And I feel like it may be society or it may be just the way we were raised or what, but everybody, I feel like that age, you just challenge everything and you're like, oh man, I made some decisions I really shouldn't have made. But I did want to comment one thing about the not lying deal your mom kind of instilled. We always had this rule in my family, as my dad said, I would get spanked as a kid like a lot of people did. Yep. But he said, if you lie, you're automatically getting 5 spankings. And he goes, but if you come to me and say, hey, something happened, I want to get spanked. And so that was the rule. And so there was this one time where he was spray painting or something, and I was standing there watching. Well, he walks inside and I grabbed this spray paint can. I was like, oh, I want to spray paint something. So I spray paint a small smiley face on the side of the house. And my dad comes out. He was like, "Was that you?" And I said, "No, sir." And he goes, "Well, I know it was you because I can see the paint on your fingernails." And so I got 5 licks. And after that, I didn't lie very much. And so it was just one thing that kind of stuck with me. It's like, why lie whenever you can just tell the truth?
Right.
I mean, you got to, whenever you dig yourself a deeper and deeper hole, I mean, it's just one thing after another.
That was the same thing with my mom. She was like, I would rather you come to me and tell me the truth, about something versus lying, because if you lie, I don't trust you anymore, and it makes it 10 times worse.
And there's your integrity.
Exactly.
There's your integrity lesson right there. For
Full circle.
Would you say your mom's like your biggest role model for yourself?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of
ways,
a lot of the culture around here. A lot of the moms and daughters, like at a certain age, moms and daughters are not moms and daughters anymore. They're like best friends. You know what I'm saying? It flips a switch at a certain age. But that's awesome. Integrity is a big deal. Not lying is a really good deal. How do you try to balance all this and learning all this from a young age? When did this start, having to affect how you were looking for jobs and places to work? Because you work in the pharmaceutical industry, correct? That's a pretty controversial industry itself, with some of the lawsuits, some of the drug addiction things, and it's not the most integrity filled industry. How did that play into I'm gonna go actually work for this company?
So that's I talk about that all the time, because the pharmaceutical industry, I mean, it's $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff I personally don't agree with, but it's, ironic because I'm like working in that industry. So I think it just, I don't have a say so over these companies and what they produce and, the FDA, so I just stay in my little corner in my company with my team and just, continue to instill those same values. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Talent acquisition, correct?
Acquisition.
Acquisitions.
It's a hard
Sorry,
word
it
to
is.
say.
It is. It's a tongue
It's
twister.
honestly just a fancier word for recruiting manager.
Yeah. So that's what you That's what you do. You go out and find people to work for this company.
Yep.
How does that work on a day-to-day basis for yourself?
It can get pretty crazy. So with this company that I'm currently with, I started out as just like a team contributor. Like I was entry level, junior position. It's really a godsend how everything played out. So within, I was 2 months into the role, and then I got promoted to more of kind of like a mid-level role. And then from there, the manager that was managing me, he left from the manager position to go be a CO.
Oh, wow.
So it was totally left field. We were like, where did this come from? But it was really, he has a lot of COs in his family, so it was really cool, to see him follow his passion and stuff. But so he recommended me to be moved up in his position. That's kind of how it worked out.
And we say this a lot on the show. It's like not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. And
Exactly.
if you get put in that right position, we talk about professional athletes and whether it's recruiting or whatever, as long as you're in that, that right spot at the right time, you might get signed by that right team or however it pans out. In terms of recruiting, I said sports, but in terms of the business world, what do you look for in this next generation coming up?
That's a really good question.
Because I know there's a bunch of people that their social skills just aren't there, because in this generation, everybody's nose are plugged into their phone, and it's rough with that, is what I've heard at least. So what specific character traits do you look for in terms of coming into the pharmaceutical industry?
Yeah, so it depends on the position, of course, but kind of side note, just with the up and coming Gen Z generation, like you said, there's a lot of challenges that we're facing, and then even alpha generation that's behind us. But we can get into that later. It's a whole thing. But yeah, so really just, it depends on what position they're applying for. If it's an entry level position, we want to give somebody right out of college a chance, right? So whether it's an internship, we're actually developing an entry level like trainee program, so we can give them that opportunity and, you know, train them up and put them out there on the consulting field. But really just interpersonal skills, you know, how well you interview. Honestly, your resume says a lot about you and how attentive to detail you are. So if there's mistakes on your resume, you know, if you're copying and pasting per the job description, like we're gonna notice it.
Do you guys look at the resumes? Like,
all day.
All day?
All day,
I know a
every
lot of
day.
big companies like that will scan them before even peeking at them.
Right. So I think the statistic is a recruiter or hiring manager, you know, whoever's, you know, looking at the resume will look at it for like maybe 5 to 7 seconds. So it needs to, the first thing that we look at is like format, right? So like how nice does this look? And then we'll dig into like what keywords are popping out of us. And then from there, we'll see, you know, like where did you go to school at? And then from there, then we'll dig into your job history. But the biggest thing about that before going into like all of your technical, you know, bullet points that you're writing and stuff, we'll look at how long you've been at those jobs. If we see that you've only been at, you know, you job top every like 6 months to a year, that's a red flag. Unless you were a contractor, then that makes sense because you were working on, you know, a set duration and you're kind of just like moving along. But that's a big thing. Next thing is just, you know, kind of skimming through the details. But that's like after the 5 to 7 seconds. After 5 to 7 seconds, if we don't see anything we like, pass.
Dang.
It's crazy.
Cutthroat.
Yeah.
That's crazy. No wonder, man. I've sent out a lot of resumes after I graduated college, and it's like, oh, duh. No wonder now. It's like, no wonder I got to call back. I probably have like one word spelled wrong or used the wrong version of 2 or just something that... All right, next.
On your next resume, just like print it all in pink or
Oh,
something.
I'm sending
make
it to
stand
her.
out.
I'm sending it to her. She's gonna review
I'll
my
get you
next
right.
resume.
Yeah.
It's going to the Bucks, so
Yeah.
you're gonna have to help me out with this one.
I got you.
That's crazy.
No, but I mean, just right now, like just with the job market, with all like the layoffs, you know, like everybody's looking for a job. A lot of people are. So you really have to make yourself stand out by this piece of paper, this document that you're putting together. So it's like, how do you do that? You know, a lot of people are getting creative. I personally haven't experienced this, but I tell my clients to do this. Make like a video introduction.
Oh, I was gonna ask
Like
you
a
about
video
that. Yeah.
resume. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's on.
That's like game changer. People don't see that, you know? So it's really like, oh, wow. So yeah.
So I have a question with, in terms of like these college kids coming out of obviously college, and getting into the workforce. I've heard a lot of different perspectives. So I've heard, you know, everybody's hiring right now and nobody wants to work or whatever and this and that. And I've heard that. And then I've heard people out of college and be like, oh, I can't find a job, and quote unquote, everybody's hiring and everybody wants somebody, but they want somebody with experience. And so what kind of advice, or can you go into a little bit about, you know, what's different between y'all and this and that? Because obviously if you're getting resumes out the butt, then clearly there's people applying and wanting to work.
Right.
But, you know, can you go into a little bit about that, and if you see it firsthand?
I mean, it all goes back to setting yourself apart from the other candidates. You don't know how many candidates are applying to those jobs. So that piece of paper is basically like your selling point. Like you're selling yourself on that one sheet. So it's, you know, again, like just a really huge thing. But yeah, I have seen that. I think right now with college students in particular, with the past couple of years because of COVID, you know, we've kind of seen like internships are not necessarily a requirement to graduate anymore. And then also some internships are being pushed out a year, not with our company, but just like research in the industry. And then even some positions and internships are being taken away. So it's really hard right now, especially for college students. I know it's a controversial topic with Gen Z. You know, the older generations, you know, they hate us. But I think we're just, you know, bringing a different flavor.
Yeah.
We're different. We have different values.
Times are changing.
Would you consider an internship like key to get a job? Like, you can be honest. Like,
So, yes and no.
Okay.
It depends on the position. However, it definitely sets that person apart because they have hands-on experience.
Well, my thing is, you know, I was a college athlete, right? In the fall, I was in the weight room, doing all my weight training. I had, conditioning plus class plus fall practice, right? And then I roll into the spring. I have my season, weight training, class, all of it. I had no time for an internship.
job, yeah.
Yes, you did, because I had 4.
Well, you
and I did the same thing.
No, we were on different levels. We can be honest here. I had no time for an internship, and I had classes my last semester on campus too as a part of my graduation routine. And a lot of athletes are like that.
They do them in the summer. That's why.
See, I wasn't told that. Nobody advised me to do that. But see, it's hard for athletes to learn those things, because I got, put behind the 8 ball with that, because, my advisor never told me to go internship in the summer. It was always looking around and see my other classmates going out, oh man, she's working at Washington DC this fall, or man, he's working with Helena this fall, that's cool, or so, something like that. I was just curious how important an internship was on a resume to somebody.
It just depends. I will say, for my company specifically, if we see that you're a student athlete, it's a good thing.
Okay.
Because there's so many, if you're lacking the technical skills, I think you guys have the soft skills to make up for it. Like you can work in a team. You can work good under pressure. So just stuff like that. It really speaks volume. So
that's good to know that they actually do take that into consideration.
Yeah, I feel like because I've told all the time, like being a student athlete or whatever, they said, hey, make sure you throw that on your resume, because
100%.
One, you never know, being an alumni from the school, you never know who's, up there looking at your resume. So they're like, oh, this guy's from Warner. Oh, he played baseball. Oh, well, I had a brother or whatever play ball. And you can connect and you can network yourself even by putting that on your resume. Now, in terms of having it on your resume, how much do y'all look at, the school that they actually went to? Because I know, like, a lot of people say, make sure you get your 4-year degree, but
I do not have a 4-year degree.
Really?
I just have an associate's.
It don't matter what school, though, right?
No.
Really?
No.
See,
Unless
agree.
you're Big 4 and you're at this,
Harvard,
prestigious, college or prestigious, huge company. I mean, they might, but not from my experience, no.
I feel like UF grads get a big, nod in this state over other Warner or, school grads.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a bias there.
Well, yeah. I mean, it goes back down to the networking thing. If you're the
That's
hiring
true,
guy
too.
and you got a UF guy and you got an FSU guy, you're probably going to get the UF guy.
Yeah.
Another big thing in that industry is fraternities and sororities as well.
Yeah, that's true.
What a lot of people don't know, like if you've got, for instance, if you say, I was at the University of Florida, I was in AGR, the agricultural fraternity, and you go apply for a job at Helena, which is a big chemical sales company, or Ben Hill Griffin or wherever, and you say you're in that fraternity, there's a very high chance you're getting that job, because a lot of fraternity brothers are working for those companies.
Welcome in, brother.
Yeah.
Literally.
And it's one of those things. It's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly.
So always be open to talk to people and don't be an asshole whenever you're having conversations.
Well, Liz, I know that you do the talent acquisition stuff, but if you look at your Instagram bio, you have so many different things in there. You are a life coach as well, right? Or
career and life coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get into that a little bit. So, how would said person approach you to get, I guess, advice or a lesson, or what would you call it, a session?
A session.
Okay.
Consultation.
Yeah. It really just depends on what they're looking for. I mean, if they go on my website, they can see, all the stuff that I offer. I have, different programs for people, and then just one-on-one services, things like that. Right now, what I'm really focusing on is the career coaching, especially with college students.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, they're just at such a disadvantage. So just, this past week I've been networking with a lot of college students on LinkedIn and just, giving advice, just on resumes and what to do next after an internship, and just help them navigate. Mm-hmm. And having a personal brand, a social media brand is very important, especially on LinkedIn. Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna go look up a candidate on Instagram or Facebook, but I will look at your LinkedIn for sure.
Everybody does. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I have the LinkedIn what's it called, the for premium or
Premium.
yeah, where you can see how many people view your thing
Yeah.
a week. Man, I'm letting you know out there, my LinkedIn.
Like you're stalking me.
Well, my LinkedIn, like I have a pretty good job right now, so I'm not really looking for a job. So my LinkedIn is directly dedicated to all of this, the podcast.
Yeah.
It's to like, if somebody were to click on my LinkedIn, it's like, oh man, this guy's a podcast. Maybe I could be a guest on his show. Like,
Exactly.
you never know who's looking. And I have probably, 20 to 25 views per week, just random people clicking through. If you're out there and you're listening, hit me up, message me. That's the page for a reason.
I'll send you a connection request.
Yeah.
To go back to what you were saying, like on your LinkedIn, and how you were saying on resumes, like you look at duration of time that you were on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing.
Yep.
Like Brian we were talking about things, and you're like, I don't know what I want to do. And I said, hey, give your job a year. I said, if you give it a year, I was like, that's one thing that's on your resume. You gave it a year. If you didn't like it, move on.
Right.
But at the same time, now look where you're at.
That is
You got a
true.
promotion, and actually now you're really enjoying your job.
Kind of my own boss at this point. It's nice.
See, you gave it a year, and all of a sudden things start turning around.
I'm right back at you though.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
So the live coaching, do you go out and like recruit these students, or do you just see that people are graduating like through their LinkedIn and DM them that way, or?
So it just depends. With the life coaching, it's more of like a kind of like word of mouth type of thing. Like if
Okay.
I connect with somebody, I might like give them some advice, just networking with them, telling them what I do. If they're interested in it, cool. It's not really something that like I market on like a large scale. But with the career stuff, I think it was yesterday I sent out like 200 connection requests to like students that are currently in internships, just like, asking them how it's going, just, giving free advice, not being salesy, because I genuinely want to help them. There was a guy, I think it was today, we were just like chatting, and he was very like vulnerable, and he was like, look, like I'm a broke college student. I don't have, money to like pay for your services. And I'm like, dude, don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, I just genuinely want to help you. So right now where I'm at with my business, it is, like I'm trying to sell myself, but eventually it'll just start becoming more like word of mouth and like people coming to me. So
We say the same thing about this right here.
Have you ever considered, I know a lot of schools, they have like job fairs and stuff like that. Have you ever considered about putting up a booth and being like, hey, like I'm not necessarily hiring, but I can help you connect with every single one of these companies around?
yeah, so I have thought about that. With my full-time job, we do career fairs and stuff. It's mainly virtual, but for myself, I've thought about a lot of different ways. I actually want to go speak at the local high schools here.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty cool. And then, any like local career fairs and stuff. Yeah.
I feel like you should go talk to, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colleges within 30 miles right here. I would just go walk on campus. But hey guys, this is what I do.
Well,
you trying to get a job after college or what? I can help
you
you.
out.
Yeah, so many people would come up and probably, use your service.
Yeah.
Me and Nate have thought about like asking our Rule 1 question for like social media clips on like a sign out at like a college or like a ball game or something before, just to see if people would come up top. I guarantee we get at least 50 in one session somewhere.
you mentioned about the high school thing, and I feel like that would be really cool. Obviously college, because they're right there at that moment. But high school kids, I feel like we talked about that, rock bottom, or that age where, something detrimental can happen in your life or life-changing. I feel like when I was in school, I was never told about some of these career paths that people can take, that, it was always preached in my head. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to
But
college.
it's like, go to college for what?
Yeah,
Exactly.
And so, trades are a huge thing right now, whether it's cosmetologists. My sister owns a hair salon. She went to college for 2 years. She goes, no, I don't really like this. I'm going to beauty school. And now 3 years later, she owns her own salon. And so I feel like there's a lot of times where these kids, 16, 17, they have no idea what they want to do. And so somebody that can come along and be like, hey, well, what's your interest? Well, I like to play baseball. Well, let's have a backup plan.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I feel like that could be, super beneficial to some of those kids too.
Yeah, I feel like the students that are in college, they have some type of idea. Some of them, they might just be doing like general studies, right? But it's especially important for the high school students, because it's like, okay, I'm turning 18, like it's my senior year. What am I going to do? You know? And I mean, naturally, just our parents and the generation that they came from, like college is the answer. But I don't think so.
It just depends, right? Depends on what kind of field you want to go to. If you obviously want to go be a doctor,
100%.
like you have to go to college.
100%.
If you want to go be the world's best welder, hell no, go to trade school,
Right.
get your certificate in 6 months, and bud, start making that money. Like, it just depends, I guess, on what trade you're looking for. I think the approach, like with high school students, like I'm not trying to be in your business.
No,
I'm like,
you're good.
I think the approach you should take with them is trying to find out which avenue or what their interests are broadly, right? Because, you know, when I was in high school, I had no idea that I would one day be the producer, editor, and, you know, whatever of a podcast. No clue. I knew that I liked messing around with videoing stuff. I knew that I liked tinkering with editing skills, but nobody told me, like, hey, man, if you take this stuff seriously, you could go, you know, edit this kind of show one day, or you could go work behind the scenes here, or do this or do that. Like, if you could just broaden the field in the eyes of those young minds at that age, just to show them the opportunities, especially at a school like Fort Meade. My high school, you know, we're one red light town. Those kids, like, nobody knew any better than go work in the mines or go be a teacher somewhere. Like, it's hard. It's hard to get out of that lull. But I think that's a good age group, especially for you and what you're doing with the life coaching, career coaching, to talk to. Because you could inspire a kid that, you know, might have an interest in being an underwater scuba dive film kid from Alturas, Florida, but never will have the opportunity because his parents want to work in a grove.
Yeah, no, there's so many different, it's like, okay, you know, you start here and then it's like, okay, I'm going to go this way. And there's just like so many different, you know, paths and opportunities that, I mean, there's stuff out there that, you know, I see on the internet. I'm like, that's a job. Like, that's so cool.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like another thing is nobody preaches entrepreneurship in high school either. I mean, you look at 3 people on the mics right now, we're all business owners. And so
True.
That's one thing that I wish that I would have, you know, at least had a little experience. Don't even get me on taxes and insurance in high school system either. But
nobody knows anything.
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I know the public school system and, you know, I went to private school, but I still didn't have those things. And it's one thing that, like, I feel like those kids need to know. I mean, entrepreneurship, I know we're getting a little off topic, but it's
it's perfect. Rabbit hole.
I know, but I just feel like there's, at that age, and I look back, and, you know, I'm 23, but I look back at my 17-year-old self, and I mean, I think my 17-year-old self will be pretty proud of me now, but
Absolutely.
I had no idea what I was doing back then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I cared about, you know, baseball and football, pretty much. That was it.
Have you been to the high schools yet?
No.
We need to set that up for you. We have some connections at high school. He's
Really?
got connections at LCS.
That would be
I
awesome.
have connections at Fort Meade. I'm almost certain that we can get you down there.
Yeah, I
talking to
contacted,
students.
because I'm an alumni from Lake Wales, so I contacted somebody there, and then my mom used to teach at Frostproof, so, and I have a family member that works there, so just kind of contacted her, you know, just putting things out there, like, you know, who would be the best person to contact. So
Did they get back with you?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Because I was about to say that would be kind of like
Yeah, I
shitty
know.
if all you're trying to do is help these students
I know.
out and they don't even
Yeah.
contact you back. Okay,
No, they
good.
did. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no, we can. I know LCS for sure. Like, I have a couple people I can talk to, but LCS is big into, you know, their future. I mean, they preach college, but which is a good route for a lot of people, especially if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. But yeah, we can definitely like try to make some connections. And LCS is always doing some kind of college event or, you know, preparing you for the future with the seniors. But
Now, is your services hourly or are they more like sessions or like?
So it's more of like package based, but I do hourly. It just it really depends. For the career stuff, I mean, you know, I have like a 45-day intensive, you know, like it's career catalyst is what I call it. And then different packages for just like resume writing, LinkedIn profile optimization, you know, just like small stuff. So really just depends. But honestly, for the high school students, I mean, that's just going to be, you know, like free game. I want to like print out I'm like brainstorming right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
just
yeah.
like printing out, just like step-by-step instructions of like writing your resume or like how to, like navigate certain things in life, just stuff like that. Just like free, stuff I can give out to them physically.
I think you should do like a survey, like a
Ooh.
question survey to see what their interests are, to gauge them, and then like based off of their questions answered, you can be like, all right, you could look at these schools, or you could look at this trade certification, or stuff like, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that.
Yeah. Just to like know my audience.
Yeah. A little sample size there.
So with the, we've talked about the career coaching, whether it be college kids or high school. You said you also do life coaching. So what would you say is the difference between the two?
So career is more, it's just career.
Right.
Honestly, they blend in with each other.
Yeah.
But for the life coaching, my thing is, there was a period in my life when I hit rock bottom. Like I was like, who am I? What do I want to do? And so I just feel like there's a lot of people out there that struggle with that, and they just settle, so just, my goal with that is just to, get people out of the rut like that they're in, and just show them that there's so much more to life, and literally you can do anything you want to do.
What's your website?
It's my name.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you pull, is it like ElizabethCornelius.com?
Yeah, it's Elizabeth.
Yeah, pull that up. I want to see it. I'm curious.
Yeah. I was actually talking to a colleague today. I showed him my website, and he was like, dude, you got to change the name.
Maybe like Liz's Career Services.
Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
ElizabethGCornelius.com.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, literally like full name.
Yeah.
We're still getting used to the new computer and the monitor.
Yeah, I
and
know. I was
everything.
sitting here. I was trying to put two together. I was like, she had a website. I was like, there's a computer right there. It's
go
hooked
on
up
her
to that
website,
TV. Yeah, we'll look at it. Check it out.
But
I must see the design skills of your website too.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Did you do it?
I did.
Yeah. What programs did you use?
Wix.
Wix? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We for my Twisted Tides brand, we used like the GoDaddy
Okay.
templates and generators like that.
GoDaddy's good for SEO. I don't think Wix is. And then a lot of like a Squarespace website or something like that is a new upcoming.
WordPress
thing.
is good too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You got it?
I do. I am going to drag it over.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go. Okay, that's cool. That's eye-catching. Oh, I didn't know it moved like
Video,
that. Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking at it over on our computer screen. That's like real.
that's
like
legit.
fierce. Like, I can
That's what
get
I
you
wanted.
where I can get you where you need to go.
Where you want to be.
Right?
That's professional.
Yeah, easy to navigate.
So actually this, I was shooting, I had a photo shoot. This is actually a live photo.
Okay.
That I just like put on loop on my iPhone, and I converted it to black and white, and I was like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, you nailed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have like, is this like your workspace that you do it
What
at?
do you mean?
Do you have like an office where you meet with people? No, you just meet
all
whatever?
remote, online.
Yeah,
wherever,
okay.
Whoever. It's not just that.
Yeah, let's look around. Let's look around.
Yeah, scroll down. Man.
Yeah, you can like scroll down. It's the about. There should be a menu up at the top.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Look at all the moving graphics.
Yeah.
You did good. That's some good
you.
designs. I'm gonna need your. We're gonna have to collab on
Yeah, I
the
can
Twisted
help you.
Tide site. Yeah.
I like doing it.
Is this
so-
Wix? You said.
Yeah.
I want to look into that.
Yeah.
GoDaddy's good, but they just have like outdated templates. I feel like it's not like the cool stuff like this where you can have a motion picture or stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's more of like your old kind of websites where it's like everything's color coded. Like there's your tabs and it looks all organized.
You
but
just gotta play around
yeah,
with it.
yeah, that's cool though.
So I have a question. Keep going, Mev.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with the, is that all like your certifications?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to take certain like classes to do all of this too.
Yeah, so I did it's with World Coach Institute. So how they have it, and there's a lot of like different, companies out there that like structure it, but basically you take a coaching foundational class. So as long as you have that coaching foundation, like you can pretty much coach in anything. But then I like specialized in like different niches, and I just like tagged that on. So the first one is just like the general like foundational class that I took, and then I did like the 3 different career, life, and business niche.
Can I ask who you're certified? Like who'd you do your certification?
World Coach Institute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've looked into a lot of different certifications because I'm weird and I always think about different fields to go into. USF
There's so many out
and
there.
UCF offer amazing, like, fast-paced programs for all kinds of things, like coding, like, it's like,
That's good.
yeah, I'm gonna look into that some. But that's cool. That's a great website. It pops too. Looks elegant.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. All right.
So do you, if you don't mind me asking, and how long have you been doing this, and like how regularly do you have clients coming in and out?
So the coaching, I just got certified in March, so it's
Okay.
like
Oh, wow.
very, very
Yeah.
new. So I'm just like in the phase where I'm, like branding myself, networking, putting my name out there. I've only had a couple of clients, but yeah, just for various different things, like a little bit of life. A lot of it's more on the career side. So
I think you might get a little spike from some of our audience, our main different demographics, like 25 or 22 to 28 or something like that. It's like 65%.
yeah.
9 countries too, by the way. I think that's cool.
Really?
Yeah, I like to brag
Oh
about
my
that a little bit.
gosh.
Yeah,
Oh, that's huge.
yeah, right?
Yeah, it was, what was the random ones? We had, Indonesia, which one was one of our guests. He had some people back home. And then what was,
We made it to Mexico, China. We made it to China.
Wow.
That's kind of weird. We made it to China. It's hard to get into China. I don't know. We'll have to look it up later.
yeah, anyways. Senegal. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
I was like, who's listening to us in Senegal?
Australia. We made it Australia.
Okay.
Germany was
Okay.
another one. It's like where I think some of the U.S. military bases are around the world that we get it from.
Maybe.
You know,
Yeah.
speaking of which, you've done a lot of traveling, haven't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, I know. I looked at your Instagram pages. There's pictures in Dubai. There's pictures like you were in the middle of the desert. One of them, right?
That was the desert it was so serene. It was so peaceful. It was like, I mean,
wanna see
obviously I've never been there before, so it was like, oh my gosh, but it was an amazing experience.
Have you been to like a desert, like a North American desert? No. Oh, I'm curious to see how the two differ.
Yeah, it's funny the way you described it because you're like, it's so like peaceful and everything, and like everything
It's
like
dead.
Yeah,
There's nothing there.
Like it's a desert, so it's like it confuses me because I think it would be so cool to go see it, but it's like it almost goes against to like the definition of a desert
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Were
But-
you like in like the sandy hill?
Yeah. Like the sand dunes. We actually went. It was so crazy. Our tour guide, he took us. I think it was in like a Toyota like excursion or something like that, and we actually went sand duning. It was pretty
Really?
Oh,
crazy.
that's fun.
But I mean, just like looking at the desert, you wouldn't think that they're like high, but once you get up on top of the sand dune, it's like,
Oh shit.
dude, are we gonna flip?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Where else have you been? I'm curious.
Texas, Austin, Texas, to be specific.
I want to make it out there badly.
I was
New
about
York
to say.
a couple times. We actually California, but we stayed in Beverly Hills. I'm upset I didn't get to see LA, but we should be going over there sometime this year. All up the East Coast. My dad's side is actually from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So all through there, got to experience the Amish country and all of that. It was really cool growing up. Over the summer when I would be there, the Amish, they would have an auction like every Wednesday. So we would just go and it's like livestock. The bakery, the handmade quilts and everything. It's so cool.
There's a restaurant like in Sarasota. There's a big community of Amish people in
Really?
Sarasota. Yeah, they come down by bus every year.
Oh.
Like for the summer or whatever. It's just like I think it's the people on what's that little like journey in their lives they can take where they you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's their
Man, can you look that up for me?
yeah, it's
Sure will.
Thank you.
It's basically, to describe what it is, it's basically they have this journey where they leave the Amish like culture or whatever,
Oh,
and
leaves
yeah.
morals
yeah,
behind. for
and
a
then
little
they
bit.
can go live the worldly ways.
There's
And
a
then
TV show on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The while back. I think it's like
Um,
at 18 they can do that or something like that.
yeah, and they have a certain amount of time. I think it's like they have a year, and if they don't come back in a year, then they're kind of like shunned, and they're
Yeah.
not allowed to see their family at all, and they just kind of chose the world.
Could you imagine, dude?
Yeah,
You
it's
have
crazy.
1 year. Where would you go? Like you have 1 year to leave your hometown and to explore everything.
Probably going to Alaska. I
Yeah?
mean, it's really cool.
You?
Have you been?
Yeah, It's
Really?
awesome.
What part?
We stayed in Kenai, which is on the Kenai River. We flew into Anchorage, and then we drove all the way to Kenai and like going through the mountains and everything. I mean, we drove by this local high school, and there's just a caribou hanging out in like the front like lawn, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And then we hit the rivers, caught a bunch of king salmon. It was, man, the experience is unreal.
Do you have that technical term for me yet, Mav?
Kinda. I didn't know what to type in the bar, so I typed, Amish customs about leaving, and basically it pops up. Some of the Amish are allowed to leave when they're in their youth, but it doesn't technically mean that they can't return or prevent them from adult baptism.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, but back to it. They all go down there. There's like a cool Amish restaurant down there that they cook all their homemade recipes and everything. Ooh. They have like sewn blankets that are made in house, stuff like that. I thought it was pretty cool. But is Dubai the only place you've gone like overseas?
Costa Rica and the Bahamas.
Which one's better?
Dubai.
Well, I'm talking like between the Costa Rica and Bahamas.
Oh.
Because I'm thinking about like either one of those being a next big
That's a
trip.
good question.
I feel like they're similar, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, kind of. We didn't go to Nassau in the Bahamas. We went to Gran because there's like different islands. Gran was really, really small. It was very secluded. It was still pretty cool, but it's not like the touristy area. It's more like private. And then Costa Rica, went to Jaco. I was a little bit younger, so, I really didn't get to experience, like, a lot. We mainly just did a lot of fishing, and just kind of, like, stayed in, like, the hotel, like, beach area, went in the city just a little bit, went to, like, this, I think it was, like, this bar and something, because they're, like, the age for drinking is different there, so I was like, yeah, I'll take advantage of
That's my
this.
kind of scene. Like,
yeah.
Like, I feel like I wouldn't know what the hell to do in Dubai. Like, I feel like I would stick out like a sore thumb. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start.
There's so many different walks of life in Dubai.
Yeah, I was about to say, I want to hear about the culture with it.
It's just a number of people. It's kind of like New York, but it's more spaced out in the city area, which is, basically like where everybody congregates. But on the way to the desert, wasn't really like neighborhoods. It was just like singular homes and stuff. And they had like a camel farm or whatever, but Dubai was amazing. It was freaking hot.
Yeah,
it was hot.
You should have went to the world's like deepest pool or whatever it is over there.
I saw that. Yeah, we went. So I experienced. They have like this miracle garden. I don't even know how to describe it. Like life-size floral figures of like penguins and elephants. They had like a Smurf village of It was so cool. But the biggest thing that I took away from the experience was just having a different perspective on beauty. Okay. So there it's in the UAE, it's in the Middle East, so primarily like a Muslim country, right? So there's depending upon the family and their I don't want to say how strong they are in their beliefs, their religion, but like just their different families have different customs. So which there a lot of times you don't see your wife until you get married. So I was sitting in the mall one day, and this lady, she had her face covered. She was with accompanied by a man, and I just got to thinking, like, he doesn't even know what she looks like. Like I couldn't. I don't know if I could do that. And it just got me thinking, like, wow, their definition of beauty is modesty and just beauty within, and I just compared that to the United States, and it's crazy. Like
it's way off,
night and day. So it made me respect it.
Imagine if they like applied that to the United States. I mean, obviously it's customs and things like that, but imagine if that was the deal, and basically you had to make a emotional connection with somebody and be able to talk everything. And if you're going to marry them, I mean, they're practically going to be your absolute best friend. I mean, you can't even see them, and so it's not necessarily even a physical attraction. And honestly, I feel like the divorce rate would go down a whole lot more, and it's not necessarily physical, it's a whole lot more emotional and connecting to somebody one-on-one.
Common interest and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that. I mean, I have, And I think in America we take those things kind of for granted. You know, romance, the free who you can date.
100%.
Because there's still places in the world that have arranged marriages. Like,
Yeah.
100. There's probably more places in the world that arrange marriages than there are where you can freely marry on romance. But man, I want to go to places like that. You know, me and Nate are talking about getting our scuba certification. That would be one of my trips I'd do. I'd go dive in that pool. They have like all kinds of shit in it, like buses, underground, like themed rooms. It's like different levels. You can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's huge.
It's super cool. Like, it's just this huge pool, and there's different rooms, kind of like he was saying. But like, scuba divers will go down, and it's basically kind of like a museum, but underwater for scuba divers.
This is
In Dubai. It's in Dubai. Yeah, it's like it's the world's deepest pool. Yeah.
Well, I've seen that, but I didn't know it was like themed and
they have all
like
kinds of stuff
different
in it.
things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Dang.
Yeah, that would be a
my bucket
blast.
list. Yeah.
But well, I think this is a kind of a great time to get into our snap questions.
Yes, sir.
Liz, you know, this is obviously, you know, we've got to know you pretty well, but we want to get to know you more on like a personal level. You know, we got to know your career. But if you could have 3 people at dinner, dead or alive, who would your 3 people be? It's tough.
Yeah,
I know. Definitely Elon Musk.
Got him before. We've gotten him before.
Sure.
I think that's both of ours. One of ours.
Would it be more because of like his businessman side, or like just his pure knowledge?
Just his pure knowledge and just like the way that he thinks and like how he just, I don't know, just the way he thinks. You know,
He's an alien.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's questionable.
If you need some help, we've had like comedians, we've had
Senators,
actors,
governors, Jesus,
yeah,
God.
yeah. We've had all.
Oh,
different kinds of
definitely God, for sure.
To be able to answer all your questions.
I need to ask him some questions.
But what if he like blew your mind because of these questions?
Oh, I'm
and
all
answers?
for it.
Some things are meant to be unknown.
I know. Yeah. So Elon, God.
That's a good
That
one.
would be an interesting.
That's a good combo.
Interesting table.
Those two together.
Yeah.
That made me crack up just hearing that.
There's this one actress. She plays Annalise Keating in How to Get Away with Murder. But I'm totally blanking on her name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Viola Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's just such a powerful woman, and I don't know.
What a great role she did in that show too, by the way.
Gosh,
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
She makes that show. She makes it. That's a good
100%.
3. That's an interesting 3. I don't know how God and Elon would go together. I feel like
think they would have some interesting conversations.
I feel like Elon would be asking God the whole time how technically he does this stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he'd
Yeah.
be trying to figure it out because that's how Elon
so he
thinks.
can do it himself.
Yeah, him and Steve Jobs, they're just like, they're unreal. Steve Jobs and who's the other one? Mark Zuckerberg and Bezos.
Yeah.
Those guys, like, they're
Different
on a
level.
whole nother level. Like, the amount of wealth that they've gained over the years, it's like, how do you do this, man?
I think Amazon started out
In a garage.
It was like books or something.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
books.
No. Yeah.
He was
That's where
shipping
like the
books.
Kindle stuff came from.
Sorry, I'm looking up our next question. I know I'm stalling right now. I did a bad job of not checking out the whole outline earlier tonight. Shame on me.
What advice do you want, Brian?
Shame on me. Okay, our next question. If you could give advice to 2 23-year-old men, what would it be and why? Or women.
23-year-olds.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry.
Don't care about all of this excess stuff, you know, drama, or whatever the case may be, and just really get grounded with yourself and figure out who you are and, you know, internally, externally, like, what do you want to do? What are your passions, hobbies, and just really like be in touch with yourself. That would be, you said 2?
Like the 2,
Or
both of us, like just 2 in
just
general.
Advice.
Yeah.
Okay. My next one would be just live life.
Yeah. Living like Larry.
Just live life. I feel like we're in a social media era, and we're, you know, seeing what this person is doing or what this person has accomplished, and, you know, just like all of this comparison and, you know, just different stuff, and just live life, have
Put the
fun.
phone down.
Yeah, put the
Go
phone
out.
down. Touch
Have
some grass.
fun. You can video every now and then, but then
Yeah.
experience everything outside around
Exactly.
you. Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry, I about spit my
I saw that.
spit my drink out when you said
should've.
living like Larry.
This is a flashback to our childhood.
Where did that come from?
Left field, like everything else does.
With these headphones, everybody, they come in crystal clear whenever you hear somebody talk. And I take a sip, living like Larry. I'm like,
Do you
what?
need the outline for the third question?
Nah, I got
You
it.
got it?
I wrote the outline.
Man, you're good. You're good.
Liz, we've kind of adapted this question a little bit, and it kind of came from my personal reflection, and like I wanted to know, what would I be remembered by, if I died tomorrow, whatever. What do you want people to remember you by if you're in your last days? Lord forbid, but
Yeah.
if you were dead and gone, what would you want people to think of you about?
There's so many different things.
Mine, for example, would just be like, remember to he could carry a good conversation. Like that's my simple one.
Yeah.
That's very simple.
Right? He can carry a good conversation.
The guy could talk, all right.
Yes, he could. Yes, he could talk.
I would just say that, she really cared, and, she wanted to show her family different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
I try to not prove them wrong, but like prove them that you were right at the same time,
Well, not just that. It's more like, I don't know, my family, like they have a different perspective on things, which is totally okay.
Yeah.
But I'm different in that case with anybody in my family. Like there's just so much more, and, you don't have to confine yourselves to these boxes that you put yourself in or that you were brought up in. Like it's okay to, be you and, figure things out and try new things. And yeah, so just, take just different experiences. And does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
No,
I'm,
definitely.
I'm over here shaking my head like, yeah, because I'm over here 100% agreeing.
Yeah.
No, it's it almost goes back, at least for me, to that point where that rock bottom point in those years where, like, for me personally, ever since then, I kind of like went about life with like a chip on my shoulder, and I feel like society tells you this is what you got to do, and this is who you're cut out to be, and like ever since some of these events have happened, it's like, man, screw you, like I can do what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
like I get so irritated when people are like, well, I can't go do that, like. Why not?
Why?
Yeah, like what's going to happen if you take a week off of work? Or, what's going to happen if you, hey, instead of, paying your credit card bill this month, invest $1,500 into a business and maybe you'll make your return and pay it off. Like, I'm not saying it's the best financial deal, but hey, if you're going to bet on something, why not bet on yourself instead of the stock market?
100%.
And
Yep.
That's why I always tell people.
don't take financial advice from me. I mean, but I'm just saying that's the way I look at it. Is I rather bet on myself than bet on somebody else.
Yeah.
Liz, you've absolutely embodied what it means to be a Rule 1 podcast guest. It's been an honor to have, your story and whatnot, and, learn about exactly what you do, too. I'm sure there's going to be people reaching out to you. Do you want to shout out your socials for them?
Yes. It's just like my website, Elizabeth G. Cornelius.
Nice.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. I feel like you're going to get some, people reaching out about resumes or whatever. Don't be shy. This is what she
Yeah.
does, guys.
Any questions literally about anything. It doesn't even have to be about, resumes, career, just anything, just hit me up. I love to have a good chat.
Yeah, definitely. And if y'all want to follow her on Instagram or want to keep up with it next time she goes to Dubai or any of the travels or have any questions, obviously, cool thing that we do on the show is on Instagram, we follow everybody back that we've had on the show. And so you can go to our following and it'll be right there. Or you can search exactly what she just said. But guys, don't forget, that's Rule 1 podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all the platforms. Follow us. Share, the whole shindig that everybody else says. Just do that.
Yeah, that part. Elizabeth, thank you so much. It's
Thank you guys
been a great
so
time.
much for having me.
And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Bye.